In the lands between, the pursuit of knowledge and power was valued over all else. This often resulted in a lonely journey devoid of jolly cooperation, trust, and companionship. But even in the age after the Shattering, true loyalty found its home in the shadows. Before we venture into the lands between, here's a quick shout out to Aoa.com, our sponsor. If you want runes, items, armor, and weapons right now, you can get it from these worthy Tarnished, and by using the code in the description, you can get 3% off, courtesy of the Inhuman one. In a world full of power-hungry Tarnished, deception and betrayal were commonly used tactics in the singular mission of achieving the title of Elden Lord. However, few fortunate and tactful Tarnished were able to form alliances with incredibly skilled warriors known as the Bloodhound Knights. Within moments of witnessing a Bloodhound Knight in action, it is clear that these beings are far from human. From their four-legged gait to their inhuman agility, every facet of these knights was designed to enhance their ability to seek and destroy. In our world, a bloodhound is a large scent hound bred for hunting and tracking. Throughout history, these canines gained a reputation for their ability to follow human scents over great distances and were put to good use. The Bloodhound Knights roaming the lands between seem to share a similar purpose. The item description for the Bloodhound Knight Helm reveals more about their heightened senses. Metal helm with a pointed beak, worn by the Bloodhound Knights. The Bloodhound Knights are trained as hunters and known to be unshakable trackers. Without the use of language, each knight chooses his own master. Once the decision has been made, the knight stays loyal for life. It is here that we learn several interesting tidbits of information about the knights. If we take a moment to examine the pointed beak on the helm, we learn that its real-world counterpart was the aptly named Hound Skull, a 14th century visor issued to infantry. The eye slits were narrow and designed to deflect sharp points at the cost of peripheral vision. The conical muzzle or beak provided better protection from the blows to the face, while simultaneously improving ventilation. The Bloodhound Knights surely benefited from this design, as the narrow slits allowed for a greater focus on a singular target, reducing distractions in the periphery, and the pronounced muzzle helped to trap particles and compounds in its hollow interior to allow each knight to lock on to specific scents. Every Bloodhound Knight was fitted with their signature claw and fang armaments, which each served their own purpose in battle. The claw was specifically designed to bypass the enemy's guard and inflict blood loss. This technique was used to ensure that the Bloodhound Knight locked in their marked scent in order to prevent the possibility of escape, while the fang was used with the highest degree of finesse to outmaneuver the enemy and deal great amounts of damage while remaining out of reach. Interestingly enough, it seems that the Bloodhound Knights refrained from using language, and yet they were still able to willingly choose the master they would serve for the remainder of their lives. Their loyalty was not only unmatched, but completely unheard of in the lands between. Even the shadow hounds of the Empyreans would turn on their better halves if they began to take actions that could potentially upset the machinations of the Greater Will. Throughout the Tarnished journey to become the Elden Lord, there are several key Bloodhound Knights that they encounter along the way. The Bloodhound Knight Darrowil can be located in an Everjail in Limgrave. If the Tarnished befriends the Half-Wolf Knight, we learn that Darrowil was labeled a traitor and that his imprisonment was not a sufficient punishment in Blide's eyes. But who did he betray? It seems most likely that Darrowil served Ranni prior to the Shattering, before she perished in flesh. It's possible that when her soul was freed from her body, Darrowil's pact as a bloodhound ceased to exist, as he perceived his master as dead. Perhaps he was unable to discern that Ranni's doll now served as her new vessel, since her scent was no longer the same. The loss of his master deeply saddened the lonely knight, as evidenced by the forlorn title of his eternal prison. The second notable Bloodhound Knight was located in the lakeside crystal cave in Liurnia of the Lakes. At first glance, this knight's presence may seem either random or out of place. However, his placement couldn't be more strategic and calculated. If we take a moment to consider what lies beyond the Golden Mist, we learn that Latenna was just paces away near the Slumbering Wolf's shack. An Albinarp with knowledge of the location of one half of the secret Haligtree Medallion. Unfortunately, the Tarnished was unable to save Latenna's wolf companion, as he had sustained grave injuries in his battle with the Bloodhound Knight. In her initial dialogue, Latenna refers to a brute that hears all and knows all, and believes we are in collusion with this mysterious figure. Only the most observant of Tarnished would discover that it was none other than Sir Gideon Ofnir himself, the All-Knowing, that dispatched his Bloodhound to seek the whereabouts of the medallion. After all, the Tarnished witnessed firsthand the lengths he was willing to take to secure the key to the Haligtree. Miquella was one of the only mysteries that remained unsolved in his vast knowledge, and that uncertainty frightened him. Sadly, the origins of the Bloodhound Knights remain a mystery, but it is clear from their animalistic behaviors and lifelong loyalty, these beings are far from human, and likely came from a place beyond the borders of the lands between. The life of a Bloodhound Knight was a thankless existence, one whose sole purpose was to serve in silence until the moment one's inevitable demise came. Perhaps death was only the beginning, as we learn from the ashes of the fallen that they did indeed have a choice. Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell, used to summon the spirit of Flo, the Bloodhound Knight. Spirit of a Bloodhound Knight they called the Rabid Stray, will attack without pause immediately after being summoned. Flo vowed that there was only one he would ever serve, a true king, and so the Rabid Stray never found a master. An interesting fact I discovered in my research is that the word Flo in German, when translated, means flee. It's apparent that a bloodhound without a master was looked down upon as an utter failure. It's quite poetic that the chosen Tarnished, if proven worthy, could summon the Rabid Stray himself, realizing Flo's greatest desire in life as a specter of death. And that's all for this video. Until next time, it's the Inhuman One, signing out. If you enjoyed the amazing artwork featured in the thumbnail, please be sure to check out the artist Enslacka on Twitter and go visit their Patreon. Use the link in the description to head to Enslacka's page now and show them your appreciation.